going on, you guys? And welcome to another episode of Sith Happens. I am Eric the Dadalorian, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Now, typically, we are joined by my counterpart, Matty Ice, otherwise known as at Black Series Daily Desk on Instagram. Unfortunately, he got a little busy with work today and he could not join us. Now, that being said, we are joined by one of our recurring guest hosts. He is a great guy. He's been on the show a couple of times now. His toy photos are better than my resume photos, and he is the LA to my AT. He is known on Instagram as at I am dot not a committee, but I know him as Ant. How you doing, bro?
Hey, doing great, man. And I actually like to think of it as more of the thread to your force.
Ah,
Um,
okay. Sticking with that acolyte theme. Okay, so
yeah. No, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me sub in for Matt tonight. I was really excited when you gave me a shout. So I'm really excited just in general about this episode and getting into it.
yes.
Wow. Just, I mean, wow.
Yeah. So for those of you who might be joining us for maybe the first time, we have been doing these shows directly after we watch the episode of the Acolyte when it premieres, which is what we just got done doing. So before we get into anything too big with this is going to be your spoiler warning. Now, that being said, we watched episode 4 of The Acolyte just a couple of minutes ago. We both just finished up. So we're going to kind of get into our no BS breakdown of what we thought of the show. And kind of hit some of our favorite moments of the show, some talking points, and maybe kind of talk about what we can expect for the upcoming episode. So we'll just get into it, man. I'm gonna start off with that was a fantastic episode.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just got chills all over again, just hearing your excitement for that. I got done. I mean, my wife and I watched it, and she was like, "Wow, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, this is good. This is Star Wars. This is a
It
new
was
story with
it,
an amazing feel to it, and it just makes me giddy."
it was something so different for Star Wars, in my opinion. And
Oh
I
yeah,
know a lot of people, freaking out about that right now. But this episode had such a creepy horror vibe to it, man. We're gonna kind of break it down as we go through the episode, but just as the overall, it had that creepy, lost in the forest, and even the music was like a real thriller. It was just fantastic. I love the way that this episode played out. I couldn't really have asked for anything better coming off of last week. So but yeah, man, I'm very excited to talk about this. So, just kind of beginning with the episode, right? Firstly, once again, I'm blown away with the landscape shots.
oh hell yeah,
They are fantastic. Like the visuals for the Acolyte so far have been so pleasing.
the top top
This one was
notch.
great. Oh yeah, this one where they were on Khofar to go find Kelnaka was great, and going back to the last episode where they were on Brentok was also
Brent
fantastic.
Tech was beautiful, and
Absolutely,
the surrounding the sky scenes were my personal favorite there, and it's
yeah,
just the way they. But anyways, we're here to talk episode 4. This
yes.
new planet, what was it called again?
Khofar, I think it was.
Khofars. Yes. So I love how they did it because you can tell it's obviously like this mysterious planet filled with,
Yes,
what's going on here. Why is it that he's chosen to make this place home? Other than, I mean, they mentioned a lot of it's not charted, so
yeah,
you know he wants solitude. Perhaps there's a little bit deeper meaning behind that. But
yeah,
there's a lot of with the landscape though. It's like they show different. You see different like this portions of forest in different landscapes within the landscape. And that's the
yes.
cool part.
Yeah, it looked amazing. And you said something too that was pretty interesting, and I think it really goes into this episode is, maybe he's there, for for special reasons. And when it opens up into um Kelnaka in his house there, you see the same artwork on his
Yep.
walls that the witches adorn themselves with, the kind of like the dots on the head and stuff like that. So, that isolation really seems to be coming into play for all these Jedi who had a play in what happened on Brentok with May and Osha. Because both Torben, he went into that isolation, the meditation state. I can't remember what the
Yeah.
name of it is.
My
So
question is how long after, like how long did it take
yeah,
for him to go into that state? Like what?
it's
Because
yeah.
he's a
They, I mean,
master.
so
Like
they
they call
did
him
say he
master.
hadn't spoken to anyone in 10 years. So
Okay.
we do know that it was a significant amount of time. It was for a significant amount of time. And then Kel Naka is kind of looking like we can assume he was. They said they hadn't had any contact with him for the last year, so it looks like not quite the isolation that Torben took and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
but you never know what kind of contact they've had.
yeah,
They give them a call. Yo, what's up? Everything cool over there? Yeah, we're good. We're good.
yeah, pretty
Talk to you
much. So
next year.
yeah, no lie. So, but the Kelnaka's home there, seeing all the artwork that really is in line with the Witch's Coven from Brentok. You could see this is something that's affected all four of these Jedi severely. I think you could see with Torben and Kelnaka taking that isolation.
Right.
That's kind of their route. Whereas I think we see it we don't see it so much with Indara, and I think it might just be because she had a very small part at the beginning of the show as
Yeah.
far as modern day, but Soul we still see it in, I think, as like some guilt he has, and it even kind of plays in a little bit later in the episode, which we'll talk into as we go along.
Yeah, no, I would say that's what I was trying to like kind of piece it together. Like, is there a correlation at all here? And it's like you said, two of them kind of share that same story of, we see like perhaps they've chosen this path of silence or isolation, and then the
Hmm.
other ones, it's like, nope, they're just still doing everything that all the Jedi do and going about
Yeah,
Jedi days. So who knows?
it is interesting. Like
It's how they handle
it's not.
it.
Yeah, it's it was interesting the way they kind of went separate ways on that and everything, which does, and the fact that they all went very separately on this does lead me to believe that we don't know the full story of what happened within that upper level in Brentok just yet. And
Sure, sure.
I think we're gonna find out some more about that. But we did get uh some really cool things out of this episode, which were some teasers into I don't know if you want to call them Easter eggs
Oh
into
gosh.
the prequel era, so to say, because it doesn't say it, and that part drives me nuts because I have subtitles on all of my TVs because I got kids, so
Yeah.
sometimes I can't hear shit. Your kids are pretty young, so you'll get to that point eventually, bro.
Yep. Yep.
um, but we see in the Jedi temple in Coruscant what really appears to be Kiadi
Hustle and
Mundi.
bustle.
Yeah. Well, firstly, we see that hustle bustle,
Yeah.
but we get what appears to be Kiadi Mundi and Plo Koon there.
So
Nothing
the
confirmed, but
credits,
it
the
looks it.
credits do, according to my brother, the credits do confirm it.
Okay, I did not check the credits.
Yep.
That's my bad.
He told me, and I didn't either. But I was texting with him afterwards, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they're still rolling. Let me check." And he said, "Yeah, they're there."
I did not even think to check
So
that.
I was thrilled with that, though. I mean, yeah, when I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, yeah, it could be another alien of that same species, but they're aliens, and who knows how long they live? Apparently
No,
these
and
guys are.
that's yeah. And that's just it, like there's always like I think from the beginning of this we always thought who we were gonna see from the
Mhm.
prequel trilogy. And we do know that Kiadi Mundi species and Plo Koon species do live to be old just like Yoda's, which I have a feeling we'll see him potentially towards the end as like a little teaser or something like
Yeah,
that.
I hope so. Honestly, I hope so.
Yeah, I think we will. I definitely hope we do. But seeing Plo Koon and Kiadi come in like that, now that it is confirmed, was super cool. And they did a good job on making them look different than what they do in the prequel trilogy. Because it's 100 years before the prequel trilogy, so things do change. Kiadi looked younger than what he
Yep.
did in the prequel series. Hair was a little bit, the hair and beard was like a little bit different, and then Plo Koon, his facial respirator was like it was kind of the same but a little bit different.
Right.
So I thought it was cool that they changed it just a little.
Yeah, and I imagine probably at this time, it's possible that they're, still knight status or
Yeah.
what have you too. So I don't know. I just think it's cool to think about. Like, okay, these guys have been around that long, so they've seen this shit too. Like, by the time we get
Yeah.
to the prequels to the Star Wars that we are very enthralled and aware of, unlike this new territory. Um,
Hmm.
this is interesting to see because that leaves so much storytelling open that they could potentially do too if they wanted to. I mean, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, no, you're good, man. So honestly, I was really excited for it because it is like you said. I think they are at that knight status. They're not masters just yet. Potentially, they look since they're kind of like in that the war room, so to say. They might be in some type of higher knight status. Maybe not on the council just yet.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool to see, and I thought that was it was definitely like opening with that kind of in the early stages was definitely something I loved about it. Um,
Yeah, I agree. And just seeing the temple in that state where you have like you're literally watching like dozens of Jedi walk across your screen at a time. Like this is by the time we get to the prequels, there's Jedi walking around. We got Jedi going on, but it's a noticeable like difference, which is pretty interesting to me because, where does that change occur?
Yeah, no, definitely. This might be what kind of shifts it a little bit too.
I have a
We don't know
feeling.
that just yet. Yeah, like because
Something we see
everybody
a
kind
little
of
later.
yeah, and it's gonna play out soon, man. But like we said, it's gonna play out later. But focusing on this episode, we had what I didn't see happening, but I actually kind of like the character development that they went with this, which was May after realizing her sister is alive. She's like, oh, you know what? The hell with this. I don't give a shit what the master says or anything like that. My sister's alive, and that's what this whole thing was all about. So they didn't completely change what her motive was, but the way like she was like, you know what, my sister is what I'm after. That's what I've been trying to do this
So
whole
here's the
time is
thought.
avenge her.
What if
Yeah.
she thought that the Jedi, like, is it possible that she's not aware that May or that Osha is alive either? And maybe
Well,
she's
she was not. I don't think she was aware. Like she was not aware that Osha was alive when she was going through this whole thing. And I think that's why they had that intense stare down
yeah,
in
you know
episode
what? You're right.
two.
They do mention that
Yeah, so she
earlier.
had no idea, and then it cuts into the flashback where they see everything going on and whatnot. And then that's why this episode, she has a very different demeanor to her, where
Yeah.
it's like very conflicted. And we see that play out, and that's where she's now like, no way, like I don't give a damn that this is what I've been trying to do this whole time. But this is what this is the whole reason I did it, to avenge my sister. And now she realizes I've been chasing this wrong the whole time. I'm just gonna go turn myself in, and she like that's all she kind of
Yeah.
cares about. And I kind of like, I think there's gonna be a lot of people who are like,
I mean,
oh man, why would they kind of change the character like that out of nowhere? And I'm like, it's perfect character development in
yeah,
my
I was gonna
opinion,
say,
because
first of all,
that's
this is the fourth episode, so we're only halfway through. So
no.
this character is still developing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this, this being that the mid season of it too, it's a great point for them to shift.
Hmm.
Because this is where we see everything really start going down in this episode. So I'm very excited for the rest of the season, honestly. Um, but I thought that was extremely cool. The
Yeah.
way that she had that shift and everything like that.
Yeah, I would say another, while we're kind of at the temple area, like the another thing I enjoyed was the interaction between Jackie and Osha when she was leaving the temple initially, and the disappointment that Jackie
Yeah,
had that she was leaving. And I just think it's interesting because, first of all, Jackie's emotions seem to be, for a Jedi, kind of all over the place, and I'm cool with that though.
a
Like
little bit.
she gets a little, like, she gets happy, she gets, I don't know, but I like it. But it was just interesting. So they probably had some sort of connection previously too.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to kind of like the interactions that they have had so far through Soul, both of them being his apprentice and everything like that. But I like that interaction a lot as well. I completely forgot to bring that up. And honestly, I don't know the actress's name who plays Jackie, but I think she has been killing it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's gonna play, there's gonna be a bigger part for her in this, I think, where like maybe her and Osha face down the dark side user at the end or something like that, I'm hoping, or something kind of along those lines, but we will see in the future.
Yeah. Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
But yeah, man, honestly, very cool Jedi Temple scenes, and I think one of the things that's cool about the Jedi Temple right now too is you could tell this is not like that prequel era. It just has like the High Republic vibe to it, with a
Yeah.
very eloquent and elegance to it and everything
And
like
even
that.
down to the apparel.
Yeah, no, 100% the apparel. Even though the internet's going buck wild about the apparel, because God forbid it's not
What
exactly.
what are they going buck wild about
So
now?
I've been seeing people, because like they have some visuals for it from the books and everything, and like the robes aren't exactly the same and everything like that, so
Okay.
people are freaking out, and I'm just like, it's a show,
Well,
dude.
I haven't looked at those books, but I do think they did a really good job with the with the clothing in
I
this
think so
series so
too.
far. I think it's awesome.
I
So,
think so as well.
hey,
But now when we're progressing on with this episode, when they get to Khofar, listen, that forest is creepy as hell.
yeah,
it gave
yeah.
it gave a very much different vibe than we have had in the shows and movies before, because it gave it like almost like a horror type of vibe, and it just
Mhm.
kind of progressed like that throughout the entirety of the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
it was it
the
was cool.
creatures coming out and seeing what they were like, no thank you. But they were very well orchestrated on the trees in that sense, and yeah,
Yes.
it was definitely had a little bit of a vibe to it of that horror feel. Like, hmm I
Yeah,
get what
it
you're
was.
saying. I like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then cutting into the forest there, we finally see that switch in May where she, plays helpless and traps Quagmire, I think his name is.
Yep.
And she's like, "Yep, I'm going to turn myself in at this point." So, not like, once again, it was not something I expected, but it was really cool to see it happen that way. And you know, we it's been suspected that he might be that dark side user from the beginning, just because nobody could really piece it together and everything like that. So
Yeah,
at that
and
point I was kind of like, oh man, I wonder what's going to be um like, how is this going to play out, is he that person and everything like that.
right.
So we'll see moving
Yeah,
forward,
I mean,
but
he is carrying around a little backpack with him the whole time that we never really see what he was doing inside or with whatever he had when he went away
yeah,
himself. So I
yeah.
kind of was thinking, yeah, is that what he's doing? Is he going to change outfits? But
Hmm.
hey, if that's the case, again, we'll see. But for now, what we do know is that they have. I think it's been like what the relation between May and then Quymir with the master is. Like, do they hold the same position, you think? Or is it, to completely different roles within his grand scheme?
Well, the one of the things they said in there is Quymir said, "You know how he is. He collects people."
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it sounds like he kind of gets these people into his service via, essentially, whether it's get promising them power, promising them revenge or something like that. So now it's it's interesting the way it's going to play out. I think at this time, I don't want to make any complete jumps to on like it. Is he Sith? Is he not? Is he this person, that person? Because I think it's just still way too early to tell. But it is very cool the way it is playing out. Truth be
Yeah.
told,
No, it's intriguing and I like
and
it.
then yeah, and then we do jump straight into that right after. So right after May
Oh boy.
betrays, she books it to Kelnaka's house, and she gets in there and turns him around, and that was another major
Okay,
horror
that
vibe
was
to it, because he was just sitting still, and I was like, "Yo, this homie dead, like
okay. First of
DED
all,
dead."
there's no coming back from that one. Um,
Yeah,
yes, I was. I mean, as soon as she walked in and then he was like, I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
he's dead. Okay, that's that. But I was shocked. Everyone has been. That's kind of been a big deal for people to see a Wookiee Jedi, and now he's gone. But
That would be, I would say, my
my one
one gripe with
sadness.
the episode. I really was hoping we would see more Kelnaka in it, just because there has not been a ton of Wookiee Jedi throughout the history of like Jedi and stuff. So like I would have liked to see a little bit more. Given the story, I can understand why they did the way they did it.
Yeah,
But overall, like when she made her way around to the front of Kelnaka, and you just see that light, clearly a lightsaber slash across his like chest, I was just like, he's here.
yep.
And then sure as hell May says the same thing, and I was just like, oh man, this like the last like 5 minutes of the show is about to be really freaking lit. So
I'm getting yeah. I'm getting the chills again just thinking about
like, yeah,
that.
I was sitting on the edge of my seat throughout the pretty much the like, I enjoyed the whole episode, but that last like 5 to, I don't know, maybe 5 7 minutes or so, I was just sitting on the edge of my seat, because I was like, dude, there's something, this shit's going down now, man.
Yeah.
So um but then
I'm glad it went that direction with the
yeah,
ending as well. And when at first I'm like, okay, so when I was kind of thinking they might have the Jedi discover her in there, and then we have the whole whodunit situation going, which
yeah,
I'm
I thought
incredibly
that might
thankful
be,
that they
I
did not
thought
do
that
that.
might be it too, and I was just like, I really hope they don't go this way, because it doesn't feel satisfying, so to
Yeah,
say. And
yeah,
then
because we're like
what they lead
ultimately
into,
we know that they're gonna realize that she didn't do it. So like,
yeah,
let's
and
just
then
move
I
to
think,
the exciting stuff.
and that's exactly what it goes into. So she's in the house. The Jedi are like stacked up and right in front of the house, and Osha's behind them. And then it cuts to what has to be the creepiest entrance in all of Star Wars, in my opinion, because the dude just, that very blurry background behind Osha, and you just see this dark figure glide down like
Yeah,
ever so slowly, and I was just like, I got chills, because I was like, this is
I
terrifying. This is,
was like,
because I'm like, look, I'm like, I feel like I'm the what's his name in Scary Movie. I'm like, run, bitch,
yeah, yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah. Yes.
It was absolutely terrifying to watch, honestly. And then everybody starts to realize what's going on and everything. Where Osha turns around and she's face to face with this guy.
Yeah.
And we can,
I was
the
so
mask.
uncomfortable
Yeah,
in a
like
good way.
there was no line spoken between them, and I think that just made it all the creepier, honestly. And then, because I know Soul's probably freaking out, because he was like, hey, stay behind us, we are gonna address this. So he's probably thinking, oh man, this is my fault now, because she's face to face with this dark side user. The helmet, I know there's been some is about it. I I think it is cool. I don't think it's the best helmet we've ever seen, but I think for the purposes of this, kind of giving it that horror thriller vibe, I think it was really really cool in it.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you it's a brand new. I mean, I think it works well with the character. The character gives
Yeah,
me like Dementor vibes from Harry Potter, like as it
a
was
little
gliding
bit.
down, and to me, Dementors horrify me to this day. So I'm not afraid to I'm not afraid to admit that. So
No,
I need to work
expecto
on my
patronum,
Patronus charm. Yes.
expecto fuck
um.
offo.
Anyway, that's our other podcast,
Yeah,
Harry Happenings, something or other down the street. But no, it was all too. It was scary. It was a scary scene
it
in a
really
sense of
had, yeah, it just had vibes that were so creepy to it, because like, so the visuals for it terrifying, and then the music on it was also great because it had just that very like that um horror movie kind of background music to it, and
Yeah.
it got once he ignites his saber, and like the visuals for that of the saber between of him holding it with the him face to face with or Osha, by the way, was fantastic. I thought
It
it looked
was.
so cool. But it was just such a great scene. Like I loved it, honestly. It was such a cool way to end the episode. But um and
Yeah,
then
it was powerful in a lot of ways, but like literally powerful because we see the might of this badass dude. He is just like,
yeah,
okay, I'm just gonna
that's
take out. So that's another thing. Before there's how many Jedi there? I think there's one, two, three, four, five, 7.
I think there was like 7 or 8 of them,
So
something like
that's I
that.
just think it's awesome that we have like, hey, there's something going on. Go team, and 7 Jedi just get like sent out to deal with it. Like how
Just
cool, how cool.
yeah,
But no, this guy just takes them all out. Like obviously,
no, and that was it. With
we're
like, and that was
confident
like
they're
a
not dead, but I
yeah.
mean they
He
have
just
been temporarily disabled.
yeah, no, they're not permanently taken down by any means, I don't think.
They'll be right
But you
back up.
see, yeah, like you see the power of this guy with just the force push he uses, knocks like 8 of these Jedi's down, causes this massive roar, all the red dust to go up, and it really was just so freaking cool
Yeah,
to see that and end the episode on that way, mind you.
I like seeing the power element within the. Well, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'll call him dark side user. I think that's safe. That's safe, right? He's a
Yeah, I
dark
mean,
side user.
we
He
don't
has a red
know.
lightsaber. He's using the
Yeah,
force. I'm going with dark side user. Sith.
yeah.
He's a Sith. But yeah, no, I think it's the mystery of that character is enthralling. If they do make it Quimir for some reason, I'm going to say that makes complete sense because he has time to go. I mean, he knows that force. He could have zipped over
Yeah,
there, slashed Kalneka, sorry buddy, you're done. And now he's
yeah.
off to fight the rest of the horde. So who knows? He doesn't look like a Sith Lord, but then again, did Sheev Palpatine? No, no, he did
No,
not.
that's I think I am not 1,000% convinced that it is Quagmire just yet,
No,
but I think there is a lot of indications showing that it is at this point.
yeah,
One, it was, he had the time to get down, he had the time to get there, change and everything like that to make this happen because he knew the force really well. On top of that, so the way that the wardrobe for this dark side user was set up right was the helmet was the most standout part, and I think sometimes that might draw too much attention from the other stuff because um underneath the robe it was just like a robe that went over, like there was really no like arm sleeves or stuff
right.
like that, so you see his arms. It has like some metal on his I think it was the wrist or hands, and then on the elbows, and you see his fingers, and he looks like a very slender person. So when looking at Quimir, we know he is like a pretty slender guy, so
Yeah,
I think it is there that it could be him.
yeah,
I think at this point we could definitely say it's not Plagueis, it's not Tenebrous. It's going to be something completely away from those guys, um, or the one that precedes them, I guess at this point. If it is Sith Lords or anything like that, we'll see the whole story play out and everything like that.
yeah,
But I'm definitely leaning towards that it is Quimir at this point.
yeah. And here's another wild theory. What if this is a apprentice of a Sith Lord?
Mm,
And he's got this whatever his for whatever reason his task is to train the acolytes or some shit. I don't know, but
yeah.
just something I was thinking about. I'm like, well, what if he isn't like the Sith Lord, but he is at this time. Rule 2's in place, so I mean, I would imagine they try to keep steady on that. So who knows?
Well,
Who knows?
and so the whole way that works is like, so when the when the apprentice is basically getting ready to take over that master part, I would imagine they're starting to train, get their own apprentice in line for that, essentially, like, so they become the master and they have their apprentice. Much like if you look towards other Star Wars stuff, Vader was training Star Killer,
Hmm.
and he was going to take the Emperor out and everything like that. So
Right, exactly. So maybe he was training this, May, or trying to train May to usurp his master.
basically, but
Hey,
yeah, the
hey,
ending.
I'm gonna take that theory because I think I just came up with it. I didn't. I mean,
It's pretty good. I think it's got some weight to it because like we said, we don't know who the master is yet. It could be this guy. It could be Zipper Face as they've been calling him. It could be somebody else completely. But it's a good theory, I think.
hey, I have one once in a while. One thing I do want to ask you, related but slightly unrelated. Personally, what did you think of Kylo Ren's helmet when you first saw it?
I so I,
Just out of
I
curiosity.
kind of I kind of wasn't like the biggest fan, especially when I found out that the reason he doesn't wear a helmet for a particular reason. So we see Vader, and we know Vader wears the helmet because that's what keeps him alive, basically. Like
Yep.
without the mask and the suit, he dies. So Kylo Ren's helmet, especially like seeing it in episode 1 where he just wears it just to wear it because he wants to look like a bad fucker. Um, I think the mask was cool, but I think it defeats that, like the purpose of the mask. It's unnecessary. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just unnecessary, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, the reason I ask is just because I've I personally, the first time I saw Kylo Ren, I mean, we all have this Darth Vader. Obviously, everybody
Yeah.
knows him. He's everybody's favorite. He's the classic. And when
Yes.
I first saw him, I'm like, well, Darth Vader's helmet's better. And I was like, I don't know about this, but by the end of it, I mean, I loved it. So right now I'm
Yeah.
kind of how you were feeling, I think, with Zipper Helmet here. I don't, by any means, it doesn't bother me. I'll say that it doesn't
I,
bother me
I
at
think
all.
I
I
like
think it
his.
makes the character ominous. And
Yeah.
it gives him like what, there. I don't mind it, but I think I'm gonna, once the meaning is, maybe we get one, maybe we don't, but it would be
We'll
helpful.
see. I will say I do like this one more than Kylo Ren's, I think, just because there is a lot more mystery still to it. If it turns out it's just an unnecessary thing, like Kylo Ren didn't need to hide his disguise. Like people knew who he was. This person in the mask in the acolyte, we don't know who they are. They are trying to hide their identity. So I think it's more practical for them. And just I think visually, I think this one in the acolyte is much better personally. I think it just looks very industrial like, and I think that's
Yeah.
super cool, honestly.
And I
So
think too, it goes with the time for that also, because I think it gives it a little bit more of a reference. Like there are differences, um,
yeah.
but like looking at your boy, doesn't Nihilus? That's a mask, right? That he has.
So it is just that the white part is the mask. The rest of it's just like a hood.
Okay, gotcha. So he does his own little weird thing. Well,
That's
anyways,
the
I
mask
like it.
is it's a whole that's a whole nother fucking podcast, bro. I can go on for hours with
Sorry,
Nihilus. So,
sorry.
but anyways, that wrapped up the show for this week, and I gotta tell you once again, like we started off at the beginning, I freaking love this episode. I thought it was fantastic. Really like just killer vibes to it as far as being really creepy and just going in a direction I didn't completely expect. I loved it.
I'm glad you liked it. That makes me happy, and I liked it too. I think for the most part, we liked it for the same reasons. I think
Yeah,
our notes lined up pretty well there. But yeah, seeing the Jedi was honestly a shocker to me. I was not expecting it, and I
yeah.
flippin' loved it. I thought that was awesome. I recently grabbed the Kaidi Mundi figure.
I'm still trying
I
to find it, man.
Man, I order. Keep an eye on Hasbro because he goes in and out of sold out. That's how I got him.
I
I
get
just
mine in store, so I've been popping
Oh
in
yeah, that's
GameStop
right.
like
Yeah.
I've been popping in GameStop like every 3 or 4 days or something like that.
I
But yeah,
got impatient. He's
that's
he's
fair enough.
he's not my collector's corner, so I won't show him off. But no, I think that was my probably one of my favorite parts of the episode, and just seeing the activity of a live Jedi temple,
That was
in
cool.
its height. I'm still calling this a height. Maybe we're going into a downfall, but I'd say we're still in a height. And I think seeing that is awesome. And then just
Yeah,
having them whip, here's a handful of Jedi we're gonna have go figure this
yeah,
out. Like, and then the whole horde just goes, and now we got a potential Sith Lord. Here I am. I'm
yeah.
saying Sith Lord now. That's what I'm saying.
Whatever, man. We'll find out. We know who you mean.
Yep, yep.
But I do agree. This is the height of the Republic, but I think this is where we see that downfall. Because you see it within the episode too. All the political play of the Jedi Council and everything like that. This. Like you're seeing. No, this can't get out. This has to stay with us and everything like that. And I think stuff like that is really what plays into the downfall of the Jedi because they went from guardians of the republic, so to say,
Mhm.
during the High Republic era, to like borderline the CIA where they're just hiding secrets.
Yeah, yeah, that could
But
be. That could be one thing. Before we wrap up on this episode, we did not mention our new little friend. Is it
no, I
Basil?
Basil, I think it's how that's pronounced. So I'm
Um,
Italian, so I say Basil.
it's Basil. No, he's our new funky little buddy, and I'm all in. Last when we had
Yep,
Ahsoka, we had our little traveling companions, that little hermit crab boys and girls,
yep.
whatever families. Those were fun, but now this guy, he's cool. I like him. I like him.
I thought it was cool to add it in there because it gave it a like kind of a lighthearted vibe and everything
Hmm.
like that.
I think this episode
Um,
needed that.
Yeah, it especially did with the ending and everything like that.
Hmm.
So,
Yes, yes.
uh, but yeah, so wrapping up the episode itself though, because we're like 30 minutes into this now.
Sorry,
I know we're good, man. Honestly, I could talk about it for way more just because it
I
was a
know.
great episode. But I once again love the episode. Can't wait to see more. To give it like a rating per se, and I was thinking about this really hard too because I'm trying like it's new and exciting, so I don't want to jump the gun, give it too much. But at the same time, there was so much good stuff within this episode that I am gonna go 8.5 because I just love the creepy vibe. I love the visuals, and everything about this episode was really fantastic. So I think 8.5 was like the lowest I can go, honestly.
Well, hey, that's a great score. I mean, I think haters gonna hate, but solid
Oh
10 for
yeah.
me. Solid 10.
No, that's hate.
I
Listen,
loved it.
I kind of had to stop myself from going that high because I loved it. I thought it was so fantastic, but I was like, all right, it's new Star Wars. I don't want to like
Yep.
overhype it too much and everything
Well,
like that. But like honestly, at least 8.5 going into 9 potentially.
yeah. The unfortunate part is if you're one of those people who hasn't been enjoying it yet thus far, and aren't continuing to watch it, you're gonna miss the best episode that's been out yet.
I would wholeheartedly agree that it is definitely up there with that. So, but I guess kind of talking about that is a nice little segue into getting into our next topic. So for those of you guys watching, Anthony and I were actually talking today. Um,
Yes.
we kind of been noticing something within the Star Wars community online and talking amongst ourselves on our pages and everything like that. And honestly, there's been so much hate and just nastiness spewed out since the Acolyte started coming out and everything, going all towards political ideologies and everything else like that. When realistically, at the end of the day, folks like myself, like Ant here, we're just trying to fucking enjoy Star Wars, bro.
That's how
I
we're
want to
trying to
watch.
do.
Yeah, like I am trying to just have fun and watch a new show about space wizards with laser swords, and in this case, apparently a horror movie too. Um,
With a
but
small
it,
rodent friend for comic relief.
you know what? I could dig that. But yeah, so like, and we've just noticed that, man. And like, to tell you the guys the truth, like we had been talking today, and like honestly, it was at the point where like I personally was just like, dude, I'm so tired of all the nastiness and the bullshit and everything like that. But thankfully, I got Ant here to check my ass, because he was like, you know what, man, like let's do something on the podcast tonight instead of talking about all the negative and all the BS. Like, let's talk about like why we loved Star Wars and like why we still love Star Wars because it seems like, there's a lot of people out there now who are talking about how much they love Star Wars, but they're just shitting all over it because, oh, Disney this, Disney that, or these shows suck or whatever. So it's gotten to, so like we want to talk about like why we love it and why we kind of fell in love with it and why we still love it. So now I just talked a shit ton. So Anthony, why don't you kind of
All
go
right.
first, man?
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you you guys get a Cliff Notes version because like you just said about this show, I could talk about it for hours. So what really got me, and I've mentioned this actually I think one of the other times that I was on, but what got me into Star Wars was honestly the Lego Star Wars back in the late 90s,
I
when
remember
Lego
the
came out
story.
with their with their Star Wars selection. And my brother and I got that Lego catalog and we had no idea. I mean, we had an idea, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I was like, we were like, whoa, the Star Wars stuff looks cool. And one thing led to another, and Blockbuster. Blockbuster was our best friend. For all you who are watching who
Good
don't
old
know what
days.
Blockbuster is, Blockbuster was a
I
place
think
where we
we
used
just
to be able to. Sorry, I'll stop.
I think
But
we just showed our age there, man.
but no, yeah, no, I'd say yeah, we continued to anywhere from probably up until we were in high school, even through high school. Like we
Yep.
religiously watched the movies, and probably a little lesser so in high school. I think we fell out for a little bit, and I did into college. I wasn't like, but when we were kids, we would play with the Legos. We would play with the 375 figures,
Yep.
all of that, and like we would just it was our head canon was our life, and it was a beautiful thing. Like I cherish those memories. It was so fun, and but yeah, I mean, falling out of it for a little while, there was no real particular reason. I guess life just you change as you grow, and
Yeah.
Mandalorian sucked me right back in, and I said, "Hell yeah!" Disney has purchased Star Wars. It's on. Like we're finally gonna have some new stuff coming,
Yeah.
and I mean, I remember I went and saw every one of the uh, sequel movies in the theater with my wife.
Nice.
At the time, she was my girlfriend, but um, for I don't know, a lot for none of the other movies I had that opportunity. So for that reason,
Oh,
like
okay.
I really like I think that's one of my favorite the sequels. They're just more they have a little bit higher meaning in that respect, but um
Yeah.
then you've got all your shows that come out after it, and it wasn't until a few years back that I really started collecting all these wonderful figures behind me. And yeah, I mean it's a collection that really even made my love for Star Wars even more. Like I can't
Yeah.
even like just making the content that I do. Like sometimes it's brand new, it's headcanon stuff. Sometimes I'm recreating scenes, but it's always Star Wars, and it's always fun. And just
Yeah.
sharing that with other people who enjoy it is what makes it fun for me. What makes it enjoyable is just, and I will
Yeah.
say on my Instagram page there has not been one time that anyone has ever been negative on anything that I've ever posted, I don't think.
Yeah.
And it's a
Well, you're
really
luckier than me then.
well, I just post pictures, okay? um, but I just think for the most part, in that sense, for creators, content creators, it's a very supportive community in the Star Wars field, especially, and that's
Yeah.
awesome. But if you get into I'm one of those fans that you can throw any piece of Star Wars in front of me and I'm going to like it. I'm not always going to love every piece of it. Like I said earlier, like
Yeah,
I'm
of
not
course.
sold on the helmet yet, but I'm not going to be like, well, that helmet fucking sucks. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
not watching any more of this show because I don't like that helmet. I'm not sure about it yet. Okay, maybe it's all right, but I'm still not watching. I'm gonna watch it. And here's the thing, I haven't been disappointed, but um, I just have that I guess special power about me to not have to nitpick everything, but I love it.
Yeah, and that's I like that, man, because that's pretty much along my same lines, man. But and talking today about that, it really, like we talked a little bit about that stuff, and honestly, it kind of ignited me, like, all right, yeah, this is why I do this and everything like that. So, and then my own, like, and people on here have heard me talk about, why I kind of like been into Star Wars throughout most of my life. When I was 7, my uncle took me to see Return of the Jedi when it re-released in theaters and it was
Yes.
remastered and everything, and that was amazing. Really introduced me to all of it. And then, like, cut to I think it was 2 years later, I actually went and saw The Phantom Menace when it released in theaters and everything like that. So I was
Oh
there
yeah.
for a premiere and everything like that. And really ever since then, I've loved Star Wars. I love the action figures. I love all the stuff about it realistically. Um, I never got really big into like collecting or doing too much with it up until a couple of years back. But it always played like, like it was a movie I can always enjoy. I knew a lot about the lore and stuff like that well beforehand, just playing video games and all the other shit like that. But then cutting back to, I think it was 2000, and I think it was 2000, I really started collecting a decent amount, because that's where I met a couple of friends through the Black Series community. We started talking more, and that's where I kind of started doing a little bit more with um, collecting these things and everything like that. And once I started collecting the stuff, I really started enjoying it a lot, like just a lot more, because I started the social media pages I have, and like the whole purpose behind all that was really to just try to like do positive stuff. Like I try to like like make funny stuff. I try to do like giveaways and stuff like that. So we just try to keep it lighthearted and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of like why I kind of like got into it, and why I still do. I try to, I like to try to keep it positive. I feel like there's so much negative stuff in the world.
And my
Doing this and
argument for
stuff.
that though is just why. Sorry to cut you off there, but
No,
like,
you're
why
good.
be negative about it though? You don't have to. Like, if you really feel that passionately about what you're seeing on that screen, turn it the fuck off. Turn it off.
No, and that's just it, man. And that's part of the reason why I've had so many issues with it lately, is just like I'll post stuff up where I'm like, yo, I'm excited about this, blah blah blah. Like that literally happened to me this
You're a
morning,
target at that
and,
point.
yeah, and literally the comment I made, it was just like, oh yo, I'm loving it so far, can't wait to see more. And like, dude, the internet masses just freaking, it was like freaking blood in the water for sharks, honestly. And I was just like,
I
why?
I
Like,
know, that's why,
why?
like, I have to laugh at it because I'm just like, "Yeah, what
It's
makes you."
just insane. It's insane. Like, I'm literally sitting here just trying to say, hey, I enjoy this. And then the internet, blah, 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 blah. Like, I was talking with somebody today, and it was hilarious, 'cause I was like, I'm calling it the Chad's Strike Back, is honestly what it is.
Yeah, no, it is, and I swear if I mention, I'm afraid if I mention the sequels one more time, I probably won't even have any followers left on Instagram,
Well,
so
you won't get it from me. I'll say that much. But yeah. Anyways, it was fun to talk about that, because it does lighten it because of all the crappiness going on lately and everything like that.
And I will
So
go back to your guys' original challenge that you gave the viewers at the beginning of the Acolyte, and that is to just sit down and watch it without any preconceived notion. Just sit
yeah,
down, turn it on, see what you think. If you were like, this sucks, then that's fine. But
yeah.
it's I hope you don't think that.
It is what it is. Like, if you don't like it, fine, just turn it off. But
Yeah.
don't ruin it for everyone else.
But I
There's
did
somebody
see it
out
was.
there. There's somebody out there who this could be, their Phantom Menace. This could be what
Yes.
gets them into it, and reveals the whole universe of this to them. And it's just like, if you're gonna ruin that for these people, you're no better than all these dickheads that were doing it back, like 20 years ago or anything like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I wholeheartedly agree. And I know we got to move on, but that thought of watching this as your first Star Wars and then expanding from there, wow, what a interesting. That would be. I wish I could do that.
No,
Unfortunately, I've
it's
seen every piece of Star Wars, so I can't do that. But
if I could ever rewatch it again, it'd be magic. Like, for the
I do
first time, it'd be
chronological.
magic. So, yes.
I would. I would be like, but that's a whole nother conversation. We're not getting
Yeah.
into that because, whew,
We subside. So because now we're gonna get into another fun portion of this. We got our collector's corners. So now, as our guest, let's get you on to go first, man.
Matt, do you? Matt's not here. Okay, I'll go first.
I
I'll go
know you're
first.
used to doing that.
Um, no, today I'll keep it short and sweet and
Mhm.
with my collector's corner item, but I'm going to go with dang it, and I did not plan any of our. You'll see what I mean by our conversation here in a moment. When I decided on this figure this afternoon. I was sitting at home at work, and I'm like, who am I going to use for collector's corner this week? I went with my very first ever Black Series figure.
Okay.
And this figure was a gift from a good friend of mine. She gave it to me back, I think 2020 probably. And I had
Okay.
zero figures. This figure, I'll be honest, if you're watching, no offense, but it went into a dresser drawer and it didn't move for probably 2 years. And for
Mhm.
whatever reason, I opened it up, and then now I have probably over 200.
Yeah.
But here she is, Rise of Skywalker Ray.
Oh, okay.
My opinion, and I would say hopefully best Ray out there, I think. I did not. I wish she would have. This one would have come with a BB-8. I think that would have been,
That would have
um,
made more sense in my opinion.
yeah. But instead, it came with this little bugger,
Was it Dio? Oh,
old
yeah.
Dio. Yeah, hey buddy, he is cute, but no, I love this figure because that's where it started for me. Ultimately, my second one was IG-11, also from the same individual.
Nice.
And I opened that one right up, and then my first purchase was Mando, season one Mando. So,
Very
but anyway,
nice.
I do love this figure. I think for a lot of the sequels, figures for whatever reason were not made. I'll be honest, they could look better. A lot of them.
I
Um,
think it's progressed a lot in recent
yeah,
years, to tell you the truth.
no, it definitely has. But this one, I think they did really well, and she's she's got just like that Ray look, like that passion and fire that Ray's got, and
Yeah.
I love it. So that's why I chose her to be my collector's corner this time.
Fair enough, man. So I guess I will go now. So mine is a little itty bitty thing. It's gonna be that's what she said. But anyway, so mine is I got this a couple of years ago. It's a bit of a custom job, and I don't have too many of these. As you know, I'm like an inbox collector. But it's a tiny little thing, and you know how I love my Legos, and you know how I love Darth Nihilus.
It's
So
shut up.
yeah,
It's a Lego
it's a little bit
Nihilus.
hard to see because of the
Yeah,
glare from my thing, but
definitely throw some pictures up of that bad boy too.
yeah,
That
so
is
it's a custom one I got at a Comic Con a couple of years ago.
no worries.
It looks pretty sick too because it's got the hood over it. The head part is just the white mask behind, on a black head, and then it's got the
Okay.
cloth robe and then the robe top and everything like that. But yeah,
Nice, dude. That is something I can never start collecting
yeah,
because, as you can see, when I start, I don't stop. So
yeah. That's
I'm limiting myself to Black Series, but there could be Black Series like the titanium ships that they have. That's still Black Series. So we'll see.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah, I've
So
got a couple too. I actually just snagged like a box of them loose from someone on one of the Facebook groups I'm in,
oh,
and
nice.
I'm pretty excited because one of them is the Ghost.
Nice. All right. So now moving on from Collector's Corner. We're cutting it close on time today, guys. So this is actually going to be the final part before we wrap up and everything.
Ooh.
Now, as some of you may be aware, stores such as Target, Walmart, and everything like that have gotten some interesting little food items in recently, and that would be these guys right here. So these are the Star Wars Oreos. Honestly, I wish we could have had these for May 4th because I probably would have gorged like a son of a gun on this, and I wish I
Oh
could
yeah.
find the blue milk around here because I would love to have that to go with these.
Hey, you can
Um,
find it. The best kind right at Disney. You just got to go on down to Disney, go to Galaxy's Edge, get yourself
I
some blue
know.
milk. Just saying. It's not
I
like right
listen.
there.
Listen. Even for me living in Florida, I'm still like a 7 hour drive from there.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
yeah,
All right.
but yeah. So what we were thinking, guys, is it would kind of be fun. So the whole purpose behind these, as you can see on the packaging there, it's got, are you on the light side or are you on the dark side? Because what it is in these things is that you either get the red cream filling or the blue cream filling, as well as a special character on the Oreo itself. So
Wait, shut
we're
up. I didn't
each
know
gonna
that. I already ate a whole thing of these, and I did not even pay attention. What?
well, now you're gonna find out.
Oh my god.
So what each of us is gonna do,
I
we're
deserve
gonna open up the package. We're gonna see what side, dark side or light side, we line up with, or what I guess we're finding out our destiny through Oreos.
right here.
Um,
Oreos tell
and then
all.
also
Apparently, this is
what the character is. So we're each gonna open it up and we're gonna see what we got. You can go ahead and go first, man. Let's see where you are at.
Oh boy. I'm on the light side. Oh man, that's exciting. Last time I was not, so
Okay,
looks like I'm gonna go with Mace Windu on this one.
let me see.
Maybe Mace.
Hold it up to the camera.
Oh yeah, right. Mm,
Yep, that's Mace Windu, I think.
yeah.
All
Heck
right, so
yeah.
now
I'll take that.
I got mine right here as well, and we are. Oh, yep, light side
Nice,
as
dude.
well.
Heck yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of holding out for dark side,
Have you
and
gotten any other packs before?
this is the first pack.
That's
I
the first
just
one.
found
Okay.
these recently because I couldn't find them for a while. And my character is it's Maddie's boy, Han.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be
He's
so
gonna be so
sad.
mad I got this.
Mm. So when you eat these, they have the it says on here red or blue cream with Kyber inspired sugar crystals, and
Yes.
it's interesting. It's good though. It's good.
It also has a thing on the back here, so I'm gonna have to. I'll have to look into that and let the podcast know. It says scan. It's got a QR code. It says scan to reveal your destiny. So
Mm.
I am curious what that is. But I guess we'll find that out. Look for that on a post later. We'll see what it does.
Yeah, no,
um,
that's fun though. That was a good idea. Shout
I
out
thought
to
that. I thought.
Paul
It'd be,
Burke if he's watching for picking these up for me. Thank you. Bye.
yes, and good job, Oreo. Kind of a cool little thing to do, and honestly, I kind of had fun doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll get another pack next week. Maybe I'll get my dark side ones.
Yep. You're gonna
but
turn.
yeah, give it a try, right? So, but anyways, guys, this is pretty much wrapping up the fun our show here and everything like that. We had a great episode of Acolyte. We really got into talking about why we love Star Wars to kind of just get rid of all the negativity and everything. In addition to that, we showed off some cool ass collector's pieces. I was really excited to dive into my Lego ones because I don't get
That's
to do
so
those
cool.
so often.
That is so cool.
I'll have to send some pictures of you after. But and then polishing the very end off with our Oreo reveals. For the record, we're not getting paid by Oreo for that.
No.
But Oreo, if you want to call
Yep.
us.
Go free.
But yeah, guys, we want to just say thank you so much for joining us today. We honestly had a blast doing this episode, especially talking about the latest and greatest episode of Acolyte. Loved it. Now, if you guys want to follow us on all of our platforms, we encourage you to go to our Instagram, which is at Sith Happens _Star Wars podcast. The link in our bio will bring you to our link tree, which has a link to our YouTube, Spotify, and our Amazon Music. So you can follow us on there. And from there, you can also find a couple of other links to myself, the Dadalorian. You can find Matty's stuff to Black Series Daily Desk. And we are going to be getting our boy Ant's here stuff. I Am Not a Committee added to the page as well. So you can check out Ant and Matt's action figure posts actually, because that's some of their big stuff. So Ant, why don't you sign us off? Just give us a quick sign out.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me here. I am just really excited for where the show's going to go. It was nice to just have a fun chat about it here. But no, I'm stoked, and I could see it. I could see a movie coming one day, but I digress. It's the end. I'm signing off. Follow me. I am period not a committee if you so choose. And have a great evening, everyone.
Yep. And I am Eric the Dadalorian. You can find me at @the_Dadalorian_ on Instagram, as well as all the other social media platforms. And we thank you for joining us today. This is the way.